Well, good morning, and from Two Happy Children Farm. I'm out in the cornfield, and we've been experiencing a pretty wet growing period here. Starting at about 4-collar corn up till present, we've had 14 inches of rain. Last week we had 3. We had 1 inch yesterday, and they're calling for another 3 or 4 inches this weekend. So I wanted to update you on this part of the field. This has been pure no-till for 5 years, and we've built up the P and K on this field. So this year I wanted to do a nitrogen test, and my feeling is the less nitrogen I use, the better, because it's not renewable, and renewable meaning you have to put it out every year and it's used up. Whereas my other elements like P, K, and sulfur, zinc, you put them out and they'll be drawn up for a few years. And if those guys are limiting you, then it doesn't matter how much nitrogen you put out. So this field might make some of you Corn Belt farmers laugh. Is a 26,000 population, 30-inch rows, and my nitrogen on this was 50 right at planting and 100 at V4. So a couple things to think about there are the timing. My 50 pounds went out, and that's what got me through to V4, and I never saw any yellow corn syndrome here. So I know that 50 was good enough. And then I put 100 out, and V4 is not really a lot going on. We did get 5 inches of rain almost the next day after putting it out. So you might wonder if any of it ran off, or if we had denitrification in our heavy soils. So that's something to be thinking about. But I'm thinking by applying it closer to when the plant uses it, I'm going to be able to use less. In the past, I've been putting my nitrogen out pre-plant, probably 4 weeks ahead of planting, and trying to use that as part of my burn down as well. And I think some of that got lost, but on this year, putting it right out right after planting, we got it as close to possible. So anyways, we're at about shoulder high here in the field, and if you think about it right now, this is the time of year where we've seen about 1,100 heat units, and this corn is doing its rapid growth. So for the next 20 days from here, for 20 days we'll get to tasseling. So if you look at the growth curve, we're probably pulling in 6 or 7 pounds of nitrogen every day for those days. Whether it all comes from what I applied or from the 2 to 3% organic matter remains to be seen. But I'm going to follow this field through with a couple tissue samples, and I'll compare that to my other field where I had done a 190 pound split, and also one where I did a 170 pound split. And since I've built up my base levels of P and K, we're going to find out if that nitrogen paid for itself, or for my yield potential here, I can back it down a little. Just to kind of level set, the county average down here is 70 bushels per acre on corn. And my fields, when we do get rain, like a couple years ago, we're in the 140 bushel range. And so I feel like I've been able to build up my levels really well, and also staying in no-till, I think, really helped. So if anything, this should be a nitrogen short field. And if I get 1 bushel per pound of nitrogen, I'm going to feel really, really good, because typically you're a lot lower than that down here. I think it's because they're out of balance for the other crops or the other nutrition. While I'm out here, we can look at the weeds. We do have some broadleafs. This guy was sprayed at 7 to 8 collar, so it was hard to get down into the canopy. And also we used just a straight group 27 because that's the only thing that was still on label. This is not Roundup ready corn, so we're not going to be quite as clean. But I think the canopy is going to help me a lot here in suppressing these weeds. So thanks for watching. This is my low nitrogen split, and for you corn belt guys, you're probably quite a bit higher than that, or maybe you've been able to get some of those micros to help you out and not have to apply as much nitrogen, or you might have your P and K levels built up better than I do, so you already know your nitrogen ratios. But this field we took on, the phosphorus level is down in the 4 parts per million, and the potassium level is around 1% when you look at the cation exchange capacity. I built it up to 2 now, and we'll see what kind of yield levels result from there. Thanks for watching, and hope things are going well on your farm.